Hey, welcome to Bears Banter. My name is Bernard Muhammad. You got Keith Floyd down at the bottom, and got Guy Moore. Jay Beasley just stepped away from his desk. Back in a minute. Hey, what's up, Jay?
Yo,
All right.
going on, y'all? How y'all feeling?
Oh, we're doing good.
Excellent.
Hey, y'all ready to talk about the Chicago Bears 2023 season? And we did have some breaking news today. Shane, I believe it's Waldron. Is that how you spelled it? Waldron?
Yep, Shane.
Waldron.
Okay. He had been with Seattle for the last 3 years, and the most notable thing that I could think to is the emergence of Geno Smith as a legitimate starter in the NFL. Anything else y'all want to say about the hire?
I find it interesting that he was the first person they hired. I mean, he was the first person they interviewed, and the first person and the person that they hired. They I think it was 9 people that they actually interviewed for the job. But I like the hire because he comes from the Shanahan McVay, and he's worked under Pete Carroll. He's worked under Belichick, I believe, and one other Pete Carroll, Belichick, and Sean McVay. So I think he's going to bring a little bit innovation, a lot of something that we actually need. But I actually like the hire, and I'm hoping I'm hoping we're going to finally get a chance to see some 20th century football. So 20th century football, and but what I do like about the hire is still, and I know this is a different conversation, but it still don't tip Poe's hand as to whether he's going to keep Justin or whether he's going to draft a quarterback.
Right.
Okay. What you thinking, Plank?
Well, I think the fact that the Bears got Shane Waldron actually points towards them drafting Caleb Williams more than it does staying with Justin Fields. Anytime you get a brand new coordinator, you want to tie him to a rookie quarterback or somebody that he has the ability to build, that doesn't have a lot of bad mistakes in their history. So I like Justin Fields. I actually want him to stay. However, Justin Fields still has some flaws as well. The number of interceptions, he's got much better with that. The number of fumbles, there's no excuse for that, as well as the number of taken quarterback sacks. So I like Justin Fields. I wouldn't be upset to see him continue to play in a Bears uniform, but I just don't think it's going to happen.
Okay, what you thinking, Guy?
Same here, but you also, my opinion is, like I said, I'm a Bears fan first and foremost. They bring somebody, they're going to get rid of Fields, and that is what it is. I'm still going to be a Bears fan. I cheer for the people that are here. I think the difference being, a lot of times when you do bring in a new offensive coordinator and you want to start fresh, but if you look at Geno's situation, it's somewhat similar to Justin's, because you got a guy who's actually had snaps and he's had some deficiencies. And when he comes there, goes to Seattle, he's like what? He's ranked first in completions, like what, 69.8, 4th in touchdowns, 5th in passer rating, 7th in the QBR, 8th in passing yards. He goes to a Pro Bowl. Could he do that with Caleb Williams? It's possible. But I think it's a lot easier for him to be able to do that when you're working on certain wrinkles. Because if you look at Justin, like we talked about the other day, his completion percentage in his zone coverage is not that good. But it's much easier to fix that than it would be if that percentage was really low in man coverage. So we'll see what happens. Whoever they bring in here, man, let's get it.
Okay. Yeah, hey, so let's do a recap of the season. I know Justin Fields is going to be in most of the conversation that we had this year. We're talking about the good of 2023, the bad of 23, and just the downright ugly of 2023. I like to actually start out with some of the ugly of 2023. So
me too.
In the broadcast, talking about the good things. I thought some of the ugly this season was the lack of preparedness coming into the season, and to actually approach the season in a way that all my starters was ready was, it was almost criminal. And unfortunately, a bad thing was the Bears. The first game opened up against Green Bay, and the last game ended up with Green Bay. If I had not saw saw any of the games in between, I would have thought this team made no progress.
Right.
Because the competition against the two, if you hadn't saw either, games in between, it looked like they hadn't improved much. So that's why you got to watch the games to see there was improvement. But for me, I didn't. If you just looked at those games, you'd like to see the Bears be able to really feel like you're watching that they're gonna beat Green Bay. This year, I didn't get the impression in either game that they had that opportunity. But yeah, let me turn it over to one of y'all on some of the things you observed this year.
Go ahead, Plank.
Well, as far as the Bears playing well against Green Bay, that was much improvement from that first game where they weren't even in the game. They had no chance. They basically stood up to nothing. Versus that last game, the Bears actually showed a pretty stout defensive line, a defensive effort. They held Green Bay to 17 points. I know you guys are probably getting mad at me continue to say that, but if you looked at last weekend's NFL playoffs, you say every team in there scored over 17 points. So, trust me, that was a good effort by the Bears. I don't think right now we're ready for the Green Bay Packers. That's the saddest thing that I took away from this season. There's nothing about it that lets me feel like, hey, we ready to go and face that team right away. And they're a young team too, and we can compete with them. I don't think right now we can. I'm hoping that we can make a couple changes, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, etc. That puts us back on that path though.
Okay.
That's true.
Go ahead, guy.
Well, the bad is just like, even Bernard mentioned it. I didn't like the fact that a lot of starters just took virtually no time during the preseason to get together, thinking that they could just come in and create this magic environment. It would work. And we're like 2-5 in the first 7 games. We lose 3 games with 10 plus, having 10 plus more leads and going into the fourth quarter. It was crazy. Everybody just looked flat, man. It just looked like a completely different team. And we're sitting there stunned, like thinking that we would see some type of improvement. And just like Bernard said, if you flip the TV off after that first Green Bay game and came back late in the season, like at the end, you'd be like, okay, I don't see a difference. But that was the ugly for me.
Okay. What you got, Jay?
Well, my ugly, and he just stole my thunder, that the Bears lost 3 games in the fourth quarter with a 10-point or more lead. That was the ugly, because if you tack those 3 victories on, we're a possible playoff team. That was my ugly. The bad was we saw no improvement in the offense. Outside of DJ Moore had a career year, which is telling. He had a career year. He 93 receptions, 13 plus 100 yards, 8 touchdowns. He had a career year with Justin Fields.
Yeah.
So, but we saw no improvement on the offensive side of the ball. So that's my bad. And I'm selfishly going to say my good was I saw 5 home wins this year.
All right.
The Bears will start at home, baby. So that made it all worthwhile. I
didn't realize we were putting
my good. Oh, Plank, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Plank.
I didn't realize we were doing the whole good, bad, ugly.
And the ugly,
We got the whole show. So
sorry about that. Well, that being the case, the ugly was our decision making. Just to piggyback on what Jay just said, from a historical standpoint, we the first team to lose 3 games that late in the fourth quarter in that fashion.
Why we got to be the first for everything? Why we got to be the first for everything?
100 years and never see a team giving up that kind of thing. So the ugly was definitely the decision making by our coaches, all of those screens, things like that. So that's definitely the ugly. I don't know if we were going over good and bad yet, because I can wait.
I did think about a good thing I saw this year. No, I'm sorry. Let me go back to a couple of bad things I saw. And I want to go to the other side of the ball because I didn't mention offense, but defensively, the bad were those first 3 games. The Bears defense was awful those first 3 games. They gave up 38 points, 27 points, and then they ended up losing that third. Then they gave up 41 to Kansas City, and then the next game, which was Denver game, which is a game they should have won, they ended up losing 31-28, regardless of what happened. But that was very ugly because you was continuing the losing streak from the previous season.
14 in a row.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that has gotten ugly in the Bears in the recent 4 or 5 years are losing streaks. I can't recall the Bears actually having losing streaks that go on like 6, 7, 8 games until recent years. I mean, we had some teams that have struggled, but even if they ended up being like 4 victories and 5 victories, those victories were throughout the year where you probably never got more than like 2 or 3 losses.
2 or 3 losses in a row. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm glad we broke that streak as far as that. One of the good things this season was Darnell Wright, excellent move. DJ Moore, excellent move. Montez Sweat. And Montez Sweat is an example of why fans cannot be part of your decision making. See, most Chicago fans was talking about they wanted Chase Young. People were actually calling Poles names and he should be fired for even making this deal, especially since we're trying to lose, whatever they thought, right? This turned out to be the better of the 2 deals, and Montez Sweat represent the turn of the defense probably being in the lower half of the NFL to, I believe they at least should have finished in the top half. I didn't look to see exactly where.
And not only that, the good was not just the moves that Poles made in getting Sweat, DJ Moore, but also TJ Edwards, Edmonds. And then you got to look at the draft. Stevenson in the draft. You mentioned Darnell Wright. Tyler Scott kind of disappointed a little bit, but I mean, that was good. We were ranked the 5th best rookie class of 2023. The sad thing about it is Detroit was ranked number 3 and Green Bay was ranked number 4, but he wound up putting some pieces together, and that was good because it just really kind of sets the franchise up for the future. If he can continue to do good via free agency and via the draft, so that was pretty good too.
What my other good thing too about that, Tyreek Stevenson, man. This dude wasn't expected to be nothing. He was just another guy that was coming out here. And even when it was bad, once he got in the game, you could see the difference, man. I mean, it was not just the youth, but his want to make plays. And then as soon as Montez Sweat shows up and we get a pass defense, it changes the whole complexity of the defense, man. It was an amazing thing because if you look at it, we were ranked 12th defensive-wise in the league, but we had the number 1 rushing defense. We were like kind of low on the passing defense, but I expected to get much, much better. And it does. It makes a huge difference when a quarterback has a little less time to make a decision. And at the first part of it, it's like as soon as Montez Sweat puts on a Bears uniform, our whole defense completely changed. That was one of the highlights of the year. And Edwards and Edmonds, man, but Edwards, if you go look at any of the highlight films, go like now, you see his number every time. And it's just amazing, man.
And the thing about what TJ Edwards is, not only did he make tackles, but he had turnovers.
Yeah.
He forced turnovers. He intercepted the ball. TJ Edwards had a darn good year. And, people can talk about, and I'm only going to mention this. I swear to God, I'm only going to mention this one time. People can talk about Roquan Smith. I'm happy for him. But, with TJ Edwards and Edmonds, we wind up getting 2 good linebackers for the price of 1. So I'll take that all day, especially when it comes to salary cap and all those things. So yeah, Poles did some good things via free agency and last year's draft, And I'm hoping that he can just continue that for this year's draft because we got a lot. I mean, we got a lot on the line right now.
Okay, I see one of the Facebook user put Chase Young got 2.5 sacks with San Francisco, and that's what Joey Bosa on the other side.
On the other side, yep. There you go.
This is what we love about our guys, the people that tune in, man.
Montez Sweat led the Bears in sacks, and he led the Washington Commanders in sacks. Go figure. Go figure.
But that's interesting. Go ahead.
Just to piggyback on Jay, we gave up 41 against Kansas City, and it wasn't even that close. They took off the they took their foot off the gas.
They took their foot off the gas. Yes, they did.
The bad is HR versus the Bears staff. We had more people going to HR for God. We still don't know why they went, but we had at least 3 guys that ended up getting kicked off the team because of HR issues. We may never know what they did, but it's my experience when HR start calling you, it's not going to be good.
Please throw your bag with you.
Great point. I forgot about that.
Good defense definitely improved. The rookies really brought stuff to bear. Dexter looks like he's going to be able to play. Going forward, Stevenson is something. The DBs are getting into the level where they're almost going to be elite. So we need one strong safety to replace, Jax. The other good I saw this year, Kevin Jenkins. I know he had a stuck game that last game, but he was beast most of the time. I want y'all to put this into perspective, though. In that Carolina trade, we ended up getting DJ Moore, Tyreek Stevenson, Darnell Wright, Montez Sweat, and a number 1 draft choice.
And a number 1 draft choice this year, yes.
Historic fleecing.
Yes.
So I don't want to hear nothing about how bad San Francisco took us years ago to go up from 3 to 2. I think we got our money back by now. So
that's probably the second best trade since the Dallas Cowboys swindled the Vikings for with the Herschel Walker deal.
Oh my God!
When you look at the amount of players and the impact of those players on your current team, and not the potential of them on the current team, has been phenomenal.
And the thing about it is,
that was an ultimate bid whiz kitty, man. You get all them cards and they're good. You don't know what to throw out. Usually, you get the kitty, be like, just saying, man.
And the thing about it is, if he can flip this number, if he decides to flip this number 1 pick, the Bears can be set up through 2026 if he decides to flip this number 1 pick. But that's a conversation that we'll be talking about throughout the entire offseason. I know I don't get paid to be a GM, but I know if I was a GM, I would be looking for draft capital.
I get paid to be a GM. Guy Moore. So it's like it's pro bono.
And some of y'all mentioned the bad was the 3 games that the Bears blew. Now, those games were very upsetting to watch because those were games that the Bears should have won. And I know there's always going to be a game or so that a team is going to blow, right? I mean, that just happened at least once, and not by that margin, but you're going to blow a game or so in any sport. But to blow the games the way they did and to do it 3 times was alarming this season. But I will give what's his name, Fluke's credit, because the players didn't look like they turned. We getting feedback from somebody's phone. It didn't look like the players turned on him, and in fact, he seemed to be able to hold it together. But I do think one of the mistakes Fluke did make this year was not hiring somebody to at least overlook the defense. So there was always seemed to be like game management flaws in his game that maybe if he had another person that was in there, because there are people who, you know, when do you call timeout? Are you managing the game and stuff like that? So there was so many games, not, you know, even if you saw it this week, you saw it at times. Matter of fact, I'm gonna use a good example of a team sometime who can at times, like when those moments get big, he has to be able to prove he can overcome those moments, and that's Kyle Shanahan. Shanahan has to prove too that he could overcome those moments because he did have that history of that happening in Atlanta as an OC. But there was times when that game started getting tight, and you're like, dude, call timeout. Let's call timeout. You're kind of letting the game get away from you. But with that said, is Getsy was I don't know what was going on with Getsy.
He was guessing.
Like what Jay said about last game, it was kind of like, let him call it, baby. He's going out his own way.
He's going out on his own, baby. He's going out on his own. Let him do what he gonna do.
Guns are blazing.
Let him do what he gonna do. Let him do what he gonna do. He going out with guns blazing. So, but yeah, it's to me, I understand that, but it's a lot of coaches that are defensive coordinators / head coaches. And just to say, you know, Eberflus going into next season with about 35 timeouts left over from his past season that he didn't call. But, you know, it's coaches that do it, but by him being a first-year coach, he wasn't able to adapt to it. I see that they are going to interview Chris Harris, the former Bears safety, which I actually think might be pretty good. He's been coaching since 2013. He actually cut his teeth with the Bears as a coach. So that, you know, that might help, but I still think that Flus is going to be calling this defense, and this is just going to be a defensive coordinator by name as far as that goes.
Okay. And thanks, Ed. Ed pointed out the Ricky Williams trade. That was an awful trade. That might be.
That was Dicker.
That's probably the worst.
Yeah, that was the Dicker trade.
It depends on how you look at it. Probably got a pound of some good bud too.
Yeah, that may be the worst trade in NFL history.
He went from a running back to just a straight up pothead after that.
Hey, Bernard, I want to make a quick comment about what we saw last weekend's games. One of the things that I actually studied pretty hard was Lamar Jackson. Look at how efficient he was in their offense. He ended up getting 2 touchdowns running, 2 touchdowns passing, and he threw for about 160 yards. You know good and well, if Justin Fields did that, people would be jumping up and down talking about he's bust and he's not good. If we actually followed that model, we could end up being in the same position next year. I'm saying with Justin Fields as quarterback. So
Lamar Jackson had 170 yards passing and 2 touchdowns, and had 100 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. And everybody said, "Oh my God, he's the MVP." Had that been Justin, people would be like, "Oh, he only passed for 170 yards."
You know, but it just shows that when it does matter.
It changes perspective.
It actually changes your perception of it, right? Because if he had accounted for 4 touchdowns, talking about Lamar Jackson, and they had lost, right, the narrative would have been that Lamar Jackson running cannot get them out of the first round of the playoff. That's what the narrative would have been. But because they won, the narrative is not stated. But when you look at Lamar Jackson plays, I'm telling you with Lamar Jackson, I really hate comparing people to Lamar Jackson because it's almost disrespectful in one sense. I'm talking about current players.
True.
Because Lamar Jackson is a phenomenal player. It ain't because he's running. Lamar Jackson looks like the Black Mamba out there. He has that Kobe mentality, that Mamba mentality. We're going to win this game. At some point in that game, he was getting sacked. Guess what? He didn't care. I'm about to change gears and we're gonna get a touchdown. It seemed like he takes over the game almost like a basketball player who realized the team is not winning and they about to say, you know what?
I gotta put the team on my back.
Because if not, I'm taking your shot for you. That's to me, that's the thing about Lamar that I love is he does whatever it takes to win the game, and he's not worried about getting hurt. That may be reckless though, but what you got playing?
He did some really good things from a leadership standpoint. There was one play actually where he ended up flipping the ball at the last second, and the team ended up getting a couple extra yards. And there was another play that specifically showed his leadership, because after the lineman got in front of him, he ended up getting like 10, 15 yards. He stopped, gave the lineman his praise right there on the field. So this is a playoff game. Your mama get to see people saying how good you playing. Your daddy, everybody that's looking at you in the NFL gets to see your quarterback giving you those kind of props. At that point, that guy's value goes up tremendously. And that's something people don't pay attention to, but trust me, other people are looking at that.
Your boy, brother Edward L.K. Hopkins said it personally. He said that Harbaugh bought in from day one. That's everything, man.
Yep.
Bought on Lamar from day. That's everything, because you know what? As a quarterback, you're unsure. You don't know. The speed is much different. The personnel is different. It got much better. And when your head coach is like, look, man, you made a mistake, but I got you. I know you could do that. It goes light years. But another thing about Lamar, they do so many comparisons. What people don't understand is Lamar is an anomaly. Lamar Jackson, I've seen him make plays that you cannot teach. I mean, I'm talking about throwing the places where the guy was nowhere near open, and all of a sudden he's right here, or knowing when to run, or knowing how to manage a game. It's just certain people that are on this planet that just got this thing. Lamar got it, man. That dude is like, man, everything you want. He's one of the most efficient quarterbacks I've ever seen in my life, man.
And it's one of the things where that's the difference between Lamar when people want to compare him and Justin Fields. Lamar has so much pocket presence. It is a pocket presence and awareness. And if it's not a design run, Lamar is going to wait till the last minute, like, now I got to go run. I didn't want to. I'm going to stand. I'm going to hang in this pocket. I'm going to hang in this pocket. Now I got to run. You know, that's the difference between him and Justin Fields when people want to compare the two. His anticipatory throws are just off the chain. And they don't even have their best weapon. If they mess around and get Mark Andrews back next week, which he's slated to come back, they tight end, oh my God.
Video game.
They Super Bowl bound. They are Super Bowl bound.
Video game.
Yeah. And that Jay, those are some great points. Those are some of the things too I observe about watching Lamar Jackson play. Is he does hang in there. And I know I'm not trying to get into the offensive line talk and all that right now, but I'm just saying the pocket awareness of what's actually going on. You have no doubt that he's doing that, but Lamar Jackson, I'm telling you, Lamar Jackson is the guy that if you need 4 touchdowns, he's gonna try to get 5. I mean, that's just the bottom line. He's not going to see. That's why I hate reading stats like that, because the stats doesn't matter. That's why I said the other day, it's the main stat that matters if you won the game. When you lose the game, I don't care what your stat is, because guess what? It was a few years ago. If you passed for over 400 yards, you probably lost the game, right? You remember in the old days of the league? If you passed for 400, you probably lost
Rivers in the San Diego Chargers.
Right.
Every Sunday afternoon.
Like you need to have 400 yards to win a game almost, right?
And it's not fair. You're right. It's not fair because, like I said, Lamar Jackson, he's a gifted guy, but he's totally gifted in ways that you can't even imagine. He did this thing with Tom Brady, and Tom Brady was like, there's some stuff he can do I can't even do. It was this one play he did in high school. He's running to the end zone, and he just stops, and the dude goes past, and he just walks in. As a runner, as a passer, being able to just like sit up, like if we looked at the all 22 on Lamar Jackson from above, we'd be looking like this. How the heck is he seeing that? It's just certain people that hit this planet every 20, 30, 40 years that just happen. But what makes them have to happen is they have to happen in a certain thing. Like I've always said, that everybody in this planet has one thing that they could do. If they knew what it was, they would be a genius at it. The problem is only 5% of us do. His is being a quarterback, man.
And that's why I hate that. That's why I hate how people toss the word generational talent around. I hate that because there's not a generational talent coming out of the draft every year, but people want to use that word. You know, it's just like the word "I love you." You know, people. I tell people, I say, y'all, people throw that word around like, you know, like it's just whatever. Generational talent, it doesn't happen every year, and people use it all the time, and it's just unrealistic.
Because that type of talent that we're talking about, that great talent, it's not something that they do that's great. It's something that anybody, whether they know the sport or not, sees that person, say that dude is different. And that's only maybe every 30 years or so.
You know, now here's one of the other bads this year was the amount of injuries that the Bears offensive line suffered. Even going back to Nate Davis, who initially wasn't injured, but he had a death in the family, but he missed some games. But this
don't give up on it. Don't give up on the plan. Don't give up on the plan.
You know, beyond after that happened, I really question: do Nate Davis really want to play football? I think the Bears would do themselves a disservice to not look for somebody to replace him, because Nate Davis makes me feel like he's the guy that as soon as you announce OTAs or something, he's gonna say, I'm gonna put in my retirement papers, because he just wasn't available enough this year, and you never could get a flow. Could he really play? He'll play a game and he wouldn't look good. Then the next game, when he get the second game under him, he look a little better, then he's injured. And that went on all year. We did realize Lucas Patrick couldn't play this year. It wasn't even an upgrade from Mustafa, really.
We realized that. We realized that last year he couldn't play. We realized last year he couldn't play. They just had nobody to replace it.
Right.
Hey, Bernard, I got a controversial subject I wanted to bring up, but I wanted to see what everybody thought. Are we cheering for Roquan and the Ravens or David Montgomery and the Lions?
I'm not cheering for nobody in the NFC that's in our division. I told my brother, he's gonna take me like, let's go to Detroit. I'm like, dude, I was having nightmares. I was on suicide watch for real. Jokingly, everybody world, I'm joking, but I'm gonna tell you something. I was on suicide watch because my thing was, if the Green Bay Packers beat the San Francisco 49ers, and I'm gonna watch Green Bay in Detroit in the NFC Championship game, oh, buddy boy, I was having nightmares. Like 49ers, if y'all don't win this game, because I kind of figured Detroit was gonna beat Tampa Bay. They was at home. Shout out to Detroit fans, because they are absolutely off the chain, and they deserve it. They deserve it. But I'm not rooting for the NFC North Division.
Hey, Plank,
I'm sorry, I'm not gonna do it.
As far as your question, Plank, I said this when the Bears traded Roquan to the Ravens. I said, I'm happy for Roquan. He got traded to a great situation. I said, Poles could have done him like the Vikings did Randy Moss back in the day, and they traded him to the Raiders. And even though, if you're a Roquan fan, why would you be angry he was traded to the Raiders? You may be angry he was not the Ravens. The Ravens, you may be angry that he was traded from the team, but you should be happy that he was traded to a good situation. All those guys he traded last year were traded to better situations than what they were. Right. Robert Quinn was traded to the Eagles, who went to the Super Bowl, even though he didn't. I don't think he played. He got a chance to be in a Super Bowl game. Mack was traded to the Chargers, who was actually playoff last year. Unfortunately, they blew a 27-0 lead and lost in a playoff. You know, they hit that game going. But as far as those,
Justin Herbert throws for 4,000 yards a game, though.
Good player. Who's that, Jay?
Justin Herbert throws for 4,000 yards a season, though.
Look at quick like bye, Felicia. But from
you
a
know
business
what?
standpoint, I'm sorry.
You know, that's a whole nother subject about
That's
Justin
a whole
Herbert.
nother subject. A whole
That may
nother
end up
subject.
going for about 30 minutes on him.
What you got, guy?
No, I was going to say not only just from a player standpoint, but from a business standpoint, because the NFL is a revolving door. And a lot of times you get guys in their feelings or whatever. But when you're dealing with contractual sets of circumstances and you look at that, here's a player that wants to go to a specific team, like with the Ravens. You never know. 2 or 3 years down the line, they may look at us like, man, I don't want to do this. But you know what? I'm going to look out for you because you know what? You looked out for us. And I know a lot of times people say that don't happen, but it kind of does. And when you look at players like Khalil Mack, with Khalil Mack, his whole thing was he didn't bash the team in the media. He was hurt, really hurt, and really didn't say much about it. But he was a consummate pro. And I think that what they did is call him to the side and say, hey, what type of situation would you like? You know, and even just like with Roquan goes to a great set of circumstances, and we collect some of that stuff that we've done now. You never know. Down the line, they may do us a solid that we need.
Well, you know what? The way I feel about this is this. As a Bears fan, I can at least empathize with other people suffering.
Mm-hmm.
I think about the Chicago Cubs, 100 years without any wins. I think about the White Sox. Detroit hasn't had a championship team since 1957.
They had Eminem. That's it.
When I lived in Detroit, I lived there for 8 years. They were 0-16. Miraculous games. I was like, they'd be up 3 touchdowns in the third quarter and lose that game. I'm like, this is crazy. So I don't hate Detroit the same way that I hate Green Bay. So I'm actually going for them a little bit. I'd like to see them get further, maybe make it to the playoff, to the Super Bowl. Something, man.
Well, y'all know my second team.
Oh, sorry. I'm just saying.
Well, y'all know my second favorite team in the NFC is the 49ers, so I'm rooting for the 49ers. And, you know, I do, as far as Super Bowls go, I always root for the NFC unless Green Bay is in the Super Bowl. So if Detroit actually makes it to the Super Bowl, I will be rooting for them.
Mm-hmm. He said about the Jordan Pippen put that thing he put.
I wanted to go. Oh, you're talking about the Bulls. I wanted to go to something. I lost the place where I was at with this. I wanted to go to where the Bears had a weird thing that happened mid-season. In the Vikings' first game, Justin Fields was hurt in that game, and the Bears went to Tyson Bagent. So this is one of the things that recap the 2023 season, that there was a debate about Tyson Bagent and Justin Fields. Now, unfortunately, Justin Fields had a broken thumb, and even though some fans wanted him to come back, I want to say that was the Carolina game just to get a W. It was not worth him coming back for the Carolina game because that's a game you could win without him. But I know what people kind of get. That subject became so inflamed that people were like, hey, white guy, black guy, blah, woo, woo, and kind of like the bottom line is if you're a Chicago Bears fan, to me, you want that backup to be able to make it through those games. Now, the positive I would say was Tyson Bagent did a serviceable job through those 4 games.
2-2. That's what you're supposed to do.
2-2. And at that point, I want to say the Bears had only won 1 game. So he was at least able to win 2 of those games to get them to at least 3 victories at the year. Now, maybe with a little better quarterback play, it was they probably could have beat maybe New Orleans and maybe San Diego. But I can't say based off the way the Bears had started the season that Justin Fields would have won at that point against those. I'm talking about San Diego and New Orleans. I mean, it's hard to say that if he would have won because they had not been winning games. You know, at that point, they had only won 1 game. And at that point, I don't believe we knew the Chargers was just another bad team.
Garbage team.
Better team than it.
They almost gave up a 70 burger, too. We had 2 teams that gave up 70 and gave up 63. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
And they beat us. Both those teams beat us.
Right. But you know what? with that said, that just lets you know how coaching is so important. How coaching is so important. How, you got a San Diego Chargers team that give, like you said, almost gave up a 70 burger against a team that wasn't really that good. Because that was the Raiders, if I'm not mistaken. Was that the Raiders that put it on them like that?
Yes, I think it was the Raiders.
What did the Raiders win? So it just lets you know just coaching is just so important, man. And people can talk about players. They talk about, well, this player didn't do this. What kind of position did the coaches put you in to put you in a winning situation? And that's what people don't get. People want to leave it on the players, but a lot has to do with the coaching too.
You know what? It's circumstance too. Like, for example, people there was a question posed, not to go back into it. They say if you swap quarterbacks on a particular team in a particular game or whatever, would they win? I say no, and the reason why I say that is a lot of the circumstance. There was one game I saw where the difference of the game was a cornerback was chasing a receiver or something, and the cornerback fell, and he took his arm and did like that and tapped the guy's shoe, and he fell. And when he fell, they couldn't make a first down afterwards. Now, had he not gotten that guy, he got a touchdown. So it happens, man. It's just circumstance. But like you said, man, coaching is everything, man.
And real quick, Keith, let me just say this, and which is why, I'm a big arguer, if that's a word. I'm a big arguer of people talking about, the Bears should have drafted Patrick Mahomes. If the Bears had drafted Patrick Mahomes, would he have 2 Super Bowls or all these MVP trophies that he has? And people will say, and I'm not going to even mention his name on this broadcast. I swear I'm not, because he irks me to the point where I'm mad at myself that he irks me. But it's a guy on 670 to score that just irks the hell out of me. And he talks about how it doesn't matter what team you're on. If you're special, you're special. You're not special if you don't have players around you to make you special. There is no NFL player in the history of the NFL that's been special without players around him.
True.
And that's just the bottom line.
Right.
Yep.
And anybody that thinks that Matt Nagy is responsible for Kansas City winning yesterday,
hold on,
obviously don't realize that Andy Reid took over the coaches and they're calling the plays for him.
He was like, look, give me that.
We practiced the whole year. That was not Matt Nagy calling that game yesterday.
USPS messed up my order, man. This was Matt Nagy's Christmas present.
And he was like, look here. He's like, look here. Hand me that play seat. Hand me that play seat. No, you're not going to be you today. Hand me that play seat. Period.
Yeah. Now let's move to. I want to make some comments about the offensive line. They got kind of mixed results this year because you did have a lot of injuries early on. Then they had to kind of plug and play guys, and then we had to take what's the guy's name? Cody Whitehair. We had to take Cody Whitehair at one point. We put him at guard, center, back to guard, to the bench. One thing that's evident is Cody Whitehair shouldn't be on this roster next year.
No. He's gone.
Plank actually mentioned that coming into the before the season start. I want to say he said at the end of the year last year about Cody Whitehair. He's been overdue to move on.
Yeah,
it is time to maybe replace Braxton Jones. It's not a must, but if you could find somebody hired to do it, but if you can't, it's not a must to do it. But you got to solidify that guard spot, and the Bears do have to be concerned. Tevin Jenkins just cannot stay healthy.
Yeah.
It's a concern. He came in injured. He missed the whole season. I believe he missed the whole season his rookie year. Then he's probably missed about half the games his second season. Last year might have been this past season might have been the most games he played. But you know, I'm not saying move away from him. I'm just saying you guys gotta have that on your radar that
just in case, yeah.
Staying healthy.
Well, I tell you what,
that's why this upcoming draft is so important. It's so important for Brian Poles to get this right.
Yeah.
You need to make up your mind. Are you going to keep Justin Fields or are you going to draft a quarterback?
Right.
Because to me, if you draft a quarterback, to me, you got to draft a wide receiver. Now, if you flip the pick, you draft a wide receiver and you draft a left tackle. Yep. Braxton Jones can be your swing tackle. Yep. I like him. 5th round pick. You've done your due diligence. But guess what? You know, if I can upgrade, it is any position for me. If I can upgrade at any position, whether I feel like I'm going to upgrade at quarterback, wide receiver, edge rusher, offensive tackle, whatever it is, do your due diligence and upgrade these positions. So
that's true.
That's what it is. I don't fall in love with the player. I'm in love with the team. And I just want the team to succeed. So whatever the general manager feels like he needs to do, let him do that. And we can take it from there.
But if we can keep Tevin Jenkins healthy, I'm moving him right next to Darnell Wright, man. Because that time that they were together,
I totally agree.
It was criminal.
I totally agree.
If y'all look at this and y'all seen it, but if any of you guys want to look at some tape, look at games that Darnell Wright and Tevin Jenkins were together, it was crime, man. I mean, I've seen some guys in history that were great together, but these two dudes, man.
Yeah, that right side was to be reckoned with.
And went all the way to the other side, wouldn't even mess with them no more. When they two young guys, if Tevin could just stay healthy, man, that's solid. But
I'm not against Braxton Jones being the swing tackle, because that would actually be an upgrade. We don't have to worry about Larry Borum anymore.
Yeah.
And that way, if one of the tackles end up getting hurt, we already got a good, serviceable player that can actually take that place. So I agree, Jay. I think getting another tackle is not necessarily a bad move.
No,
we need to get a center.
Because you upgrade at wide receiver, you put somebody with DJ Moore, and then you upgrade the backside of your quarterback, whoever that's going to be. So now you got Darnell Wright on the right side, and you got a legitimate first round pick from Notre Dame, who I'm counting, right there.
We know who that is,
Yeah.
I wish I was a GM. That's all I'm saying. I wish I was a GM.
I'm gonna say this way because I'm gonna take the emotions out of this because fans get charged on this subject.
Right.
I'm gonna take what the coaches have been saying. When you listen to Eberflus in his press conferences, he always says recently, Justin Fields start taking less sacks. So regardless of what the fans feel on why Justin Fields may have got sacked often at one point, the coaching staff, by statements like that, to me, are putting the onus on Justin Fields because they're saying he's taking less sacks, which therefore means he was getting sacked when he shouldn't have got sacked. That's how the coaching staff saw that. That's why they're saying that. If they didn't say that, if they didn't think it was him on some of those, I ain't saying some wasn't the lineman fault. I'm saying if they thought it was totally the line, they would probably talk about upgrading positions totally. But they're talking about him taking less sacks, which means from their play calls, how their protections are called, at times they felt Justin Fields was the reason of why he might have got sacked or he was under pressure. Now, some of that was his fault. Some of it, in my opinion, was the line fault. It was probably a combination of everybody, even Getsy, But you got
it was a scheme. It was a scheme. If people just go back and just look at the film, it's the scheme that Getsy was calling. You have a punt returner out here trying to block a defensive line, a defensive end on an end around. It was a scheme. They needed a better scheme, and the scheme was not good. The scheme was not good. On your tush push, you got Darnell Mooney
Yeah.
as the guy that's pushing Justin Fields. The guy that's pushing Justin Fields is Darnell Mooney. Me and Darnell Mooney, he might be taller than me, but he probably weighs about the same as I do. It's the scheme. It's the scheme.
That's what I'm saying. You should be worried if you see a guy doing a tush push and he got a number 1 on the left side of the
It's a scheme.
My problem.
And that was my thing with Getsy. It was a scheme.
I think you got a point. My problem with taking that into account, that Justin Fields appeared to be taking too many sacks. That's the same guy that's calling all those screens, that's giving his assessment on some other part of the offense. Mm-hmm. If that's coming from Getsy, which I think it probably was, I'm discounting that. And Jay, are you trying to say that you don't think Justin Jones can guard a tight end in the fourth quarter running down the field?
Hey, Justin Jones. I'm 54 years old and Justin Jones can't guard me. I'm sorry.
No, hey, Plank, that actually was said by Flutes the last 3 press conferences, and he even said it in his press conference the press conference to end the season. He actually kind of mentioned that particular point about we start taking less sacks, right? But I think what we saw within that as well is, I want to highlight some positives that I saw, is after the injury, Justin Fields took less sacks. And it might have been a combination of things. One might have been you had more guys who were healthy that were out early in the season. So when he came back after those 4 games, you had I believe Nate Davis come back, and they had somewhere where Bajan was playing, they had their starting 5 actually really playing at the first time. And I know some people are not going to like me saying this, and I really don't care. Justin Fields learned a little bit from watching Tyson Page play.
Yes.
What he did learn was, one, you can throw the ball away. It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's no big deal.
You're right. Yeah,
you get another down unless it's 4, but you know what? Throwing it away is better than a negative play. What he also learned, in my opinion, was taking the check down. If that's what's there, take the check down.
Right. He did a better job.
And through those 4 games, and I can't put this to Bajan, but I know during those 4 games, one thing Justin Fields eliminated that used to annoy the heck out of me was when he was spin backwards in the middle of the pocket when he saw pressure and he would not step up. When he came back from the injury, he started to climb the pocket better. And when he decided to run, he stepped forward and ran versus – now, I'm not saying there's not a time when somebody come at you, and you're not going to spin away from them, but I'm saying he just had developed this bad habit of spinning backwards and losing sight of the field and trying to contort his body to throw. What you got, Jay?
He stopped turning his back on the defense. That's where a lot of his fumbles came from.
Right there.
Not turn your back on the defense.
Especially on play action.
To turn your back to the defense is not a good thing. And that's one of the things that he learned sitting out those 4 games. Don't turn your back to the defense.
And here's the thing, if people think you're crazy about learning from Bajan, understand this. Who would Justin Fields have? Dalton? He ain't showing nothing. But see, Bajan, being a younger guy, they're different quarterbacks, but the perception is the same. Bajan sat on the sidelines and saw it from a different perspective. Now Justin Fields is injured, and he sees him go in. For Bajan, everything he does, all that stuff makes sense. He knows where he can step up in the pocket. He knows to trust his check routes. Only problem he had was his arm wasn't as strong, and they were designing plays for him that he really couldn't do anything for. But he actually did learn, and I think the one major thing he did learn from him too was the fact, just like you said, don't turn your back on the defense, because a lot of times this is him being on play action. He'd do a play action, have his back. In that Denver game, when he gave up that fumble, the reason why he couldn't get the ball away is because he had his back turned. Had he not had his back turned, he would have saw the guy unblocked off, and he would have been able to toss it out of bounds. So, yeah, even though Bajan's a young guy, him coming off the bench while Justin's sitting up watching, Justin actually started realizing, you know what? Not to say he's bad or better, Bajan's better or anything like that. It's just another guy having the perspective that he should have had, and it gives him a little more confidence knowing he can make the play.
Okay, thank everybody who tuned in tonight to Bears Banter. Please hit the subscribe button. If you're on YouTube, hit it below. And if you're on Facebook, join the Bears Banter Talk Show. Plank, what you have?
Yeah, I actually think that there's a difference between the position of the Bears leadership. If you listen to Ryan Poles, he'll say Justin Fields did improve. He got better. He's a leader. So he's saying a lot of positive things about Justin Fields. Mm-hmm. And if Flus is sitting next to him, so is he. But if Flus is by himself, then he starts talking about Justin's taking too many sacks. Justin isn't doing this. He's not seeing the things correctly. I think Poles is definitely still in Justin Fields' camp versus Flus is he's probably more okay with moving away from Fields. That's just my perspective.
Yeah, that's a good observation, because I think I made a video. I made a video of saying when Poles had made a comment in mid-season about Justin Fields being consistent, and I made a short video saying that Flus. Flus need to be consistent, and I said that you don't mention stuff like that about other players, but you would target Justin Fields and say that. So as much as I may occasionally say things that people may not like about Justin Fields at times, I definitely support Justin Fields, and I thought Flus was wrong to say stuff like that about Fields, but he doesn't say that about other players. He'll see stuff that happened, and he would make it sound like it was all great. No, that wasn't great, right? But then when you get to Justin Fields, you got to critique. In the public,
he didn't have any accountability for himself either.
But it may be a shot in the dark.
Nagy would criticize Mitch in the public, but he wouldn't criticize the other players. I mean, I'm kind of ranting, but it's like when Nagy would tell that the public that Mitch couldn't read defense. Who does that? What head coach would tell the public his quarterback can't read a defense? I mean, come on.
Did Justin Fields come from a military family?
Yes, his father, I believe.
I believe he did.
There it is, right there. Because see, here's the deal. Most people have a perception of kids who are military brats. They have parents who are in the military. They were brought up a certain type of way. There's a level of discipline. Sometimes it was that tough love, and they think everybody's like that. But what they need to do is understand the dude is human. You know what I'm saying? With Lamar Jackson, not to say it was good, bad, or indifferent. He could be just built for that. But just having your coach giving you, like, you know what? I don't care what go wrong. This is my dude right here. This is my ride or die. It means something. A lot of times, maybe Flus's whole psychology is, oh, he's tough enough, he can take it. But maybe he can take it, but he's already pushing it, trying to be great as it is. And the more he messes up, now he's in a funk. But just like you said, man, you know, and it's not to make an excuse for him, but by the same token, Poles seems like he has a better grasp on guys individually. You know, like a lot of times people treat everybody the same way. Sometimes Poles may look at a situation and say, hey, he did this great. And you might be like, what? He said I did something great. It does a lot for your psyche, man.
But you know what?
Another bad I want to mention, Darnell Mooney. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Michael Gully just made a good point. Poles might be saying that just to keep the trade value up.
That's a good point. That is a good point.
Great point.
That is so true.
Okay, Frank. I thought you was gonna comment on his last post. I'm like, how did I get surrounded by all these darn cues?
Yeah, give me red, man. What?
Yeah, bad for 2023 that I want to make sure we say before we end the show was Darnell Mooney. Darnell Mooney was just downright bad this year. I know we mentioned him as far as blocking, but his effort was bad this year. He went from a guy that maybe had one drop his rookie year, and to his second year in the league, he had 1,000 yards receiving, to a guy who became kind of a lost guy in the offense. And I was kind of disappointed because Darnell Mooney potential and ability was higher than what we saw this year. What you got, Jay?
I think Darnell Mooney became a jealous girlfriend or a jealous ex-girlfriend. Because Justin found a new toy. Justin found a new toy. And I don't think it was Justin's not to be like, okay, I ain't gonna throw the ball to you because I got DJ Moore, but DJ Moore is a better wide receiver. Yeah. It's the diva position, and Darnell Mooney wasn't getting what he used to get. You know, when you always getting it, you like, okay, I'm good. But when you ain't getting it, you like, oh, now I'm falling off. So I think that's how they came about. And I also think, to his credit, he didn't really play like he was fully healthy. It was almost like, I'm going to play, but I'm still kind of not sure if I'm 100%. It's just like people that had ACL injuries, they come out the next year and they be like, okay, I'm still going to go out here and play. I still don't feel like I'm 100%. But then that following year, they get back to 100%. And I think that was the thing with Darnell Mooney and his ankle injury. But I still think the jealous girlfriend thing was a part of it too, though.
You know what?
I sent y'all a podcast with Amara St. Brown. He was interviewing DJ Moore. And I think EQ, it might have been the third person, I can't remember. But anyway, on that podcast, he said, man, what happened to Darnell Mooney this year, man?
Oh, sure did.
And of course, they don't want to talk about their teammate. I mean, they just kind of didn't say anything when St. Brown was asking about it. But the cap Darnell Mooney season off to me was the Cleveland game. That was an example of how his season just wasn't good. But you went from possibly being the hero that game to the GOAT. You know, where Hail Mary pass falls in your hand and you fall before you can catch the ball, and then
it's still fall in your lap.
Dude. It hit, and then you catch the ball and turned it into an interception, you know.
He looked like two different people, though, man. He looked like Elvis Presley and Jailhouse Rock this year. He looked like Elvis, the fat Elvis from 77 that just couldn't quite do the moves. He was just, only thing he had was that just one thing like that. We point up in the sky. He like a completely different dude, man. And it's like you said, he could have been injured, but it just seemed like his whole body, his feng shui was off, man. Like he just
I think Darnell Mooney, he arguably had the best set of hands in the NFL at one point.
Yeah.
Absolutely, he had the best set of hands on the Bears. Mm-hmm. But I think Jay's got something as well, that he's a jealous girlfriend that's mad that he's not getting no dates no more. So he just said, I ain't gonna do nothing. I ain't going to Cheesesteak Factory. I ain't paying for no more dates.
None of that. Come on, Fred. I see you, Jimmy Red. Thank you, bro. I appreciate it. My boy came up.
My girlfriend,
Jimmy came, bro. It's represented.
my girlfriend got a big old patio.
And I know we're about a week and a half, I think, late. But anyway, happy Founders Day, Jay, to you and Phi Beta Sigma.
Appreciate it. Happy Founders Day. Yeah, I appreciate it, y'all.
Yeah, and everybody else who had it this month.
Everybody else.
Delta Sigma Theta was this month. AKAs was this month.
The Deltas was this month. The Zetas was this month. Yeah.
Deltas, the AKAs, the Zetas, and then none of us send us a beer or nothing like that during the whole month. So I don't want to hear that, man. We said happy Founders Day to all of them. Then none of them send us.
My Founders Day. I got Founders Day. My Founders Day is Saturday.
Okay.
Happy Founders
Day.
That's my birthday.
Right.
That's my Founders Day. My birthday Saturday.
I know that's right.
Hey man, I'm just trying to fit in, man.
Hey, get in where you fit in, baby. Get in where you fit in.
Man,
we all do it. We all do it.
But
who you taking this weekend in those games?
So at the top of the broadcast, Plank mentioned his thoughts on Shane, Coach Shane being hired. What's the coach? I keep butchering his last name, Waldron. Yeah, Coach Shane Waldron. I just kind of gave the announcement of the hire, but I didn't make any particular opinion about it. I'm still kind of out on if it has anything to do with Justin Fields or not. I'm not sure. I kind of take it as they saw the improvements of Geno Smith, and no matter who's the quarterback, maybe they saw that as an opportunity. Now, I will say this, and I heard them talking about on the radio, and it do concern me a little bit. I hope this is not no Trace Armstrong kind of deal that's going on in the background because of all them being agents of Trace Armstrong.
Okay, you just missed. Yeah. They all
Bruce being a Trace Armstrong, and then now you get an offensive coordinator who Trace Armstrong is his agent as well. So I'm hoping that them is not playing any part of the decision. That's
Brian Pauls is also, so everybody's tied together. The general manager, the head coach, and the offensive coordinator are all tied together with the same agent. But we'll see what happens. Yeah. I don't want to speculate. I actually thought that out of everybody, it was either him or I like Clay Kubiak too. So I'm okay with the hire. I just want them to get it right. Is this the last thing I'm gonna say tonight? I just want them to get it right. I just want to get it right. That's it.
You don't want us to run the wing T no more, man?
Huh?
You don't want us to run the T formation no more, man?
I just want them to get it right. I don't care if they run the ball 45 times. Y'all know me. Running 45 times and win every game 10-6. We got to win a record. That's all I care about. I don't care about passing for 400 yards a game. Because you can pass for 400 yards a game, like Justin Herbert, and lose.
Yeah.
That's no good to me.
I want us to build something where we can go to playoffs every year, at least figure into the equation. But I don't want to be this great number one team and then lose in the first round or get blown out in the first round. You know what I'm saying? I get tired. I mean, we like the fact we get excited about playoff football, and there was a lot in 2006 when we went to Super Bowl, whatever. It was great. But to go from that and then the next year, it's like, okay, I want to at least figure into an equation every year. So whatever they got to do, I'm with it. I'm still going to be a Bears fan.
Okay. Yeah, Mike Kelly, I do think he's going to be calling plays next year. And I agree with your point. I don't want to have all these stats like that.
Stop it, Mike. Right. Stop it.
Right.
Dak Prescott. Dakota? I ain't even calling him by his nickname.
Hey, that's why Herm, with some of those stuff between coaches that kind of had those signature things that we repeat all the time. That they are true. You play to win the game.
You play to win the game.
True statement. And you have to be at least having a playoff team. When you say playoffs, we're talking about, a lot of those stuff, man, they kind of funny quotes and stuff, but you do play win the games. I think as fans, sometimes we get too embarked into the stats at times. They're great arguments and stuff, but the bottom line stat is, did you win or did you lose? You know what? If the score is 7-0, if you had 7, the other team had 0, you won. Now, what you probably could kind of know what you got to work on is you're not going to be able to beat every opponent for the next 16 games 7-0.
Right.
So,
but if I win one game 7-0, it goes in the winning column.
And
that's right. Again, like I said, and I said I wasn't going to say no more, but I get on this whole tyrant about, people talking about 400 yards passing and 4 touchdowns. That's all fantasy and gambling and all that other. I don't care about that. I just want my team to win games. I just want my team to win games.
There's a whole lot of old school games that was like 12-7. And a lot of people say, oh, I don't want to watch it because it's boring. Those games are exciting because guys are balling out on both sides of the ball. They getting stops. It's just like it's a microcosm of the game because every play is a key moment as opposed to one big play changing complexity or throwing for all these different yards. Man, I love it. It's like a chess match, man. I play every game to do if I can win every game.
And as much as I'm an offensive guy, just to see a defense pounding somebody and my offense is getting out there and they score 13 points and our defense like, okay, we got it. Y'all scored 13 points. Now we're going to hold them to 6.
Right.
I love that. As a football head, I love that. I love it.
My favorite players, I'm telling you that.
Man, I love TJ Edwards, watching him play his engine, the way
passion, man,
got around the ball this year.
Oh and my
God! I know I personally kind of took it upon myself to almost troll our Bears Banter Talk Show group about because I was trolling about TJ Edwards. It wasn't in a negative way. It was trolling like, why are you not appreciating your own players? You step on guys that are gone, and guess what? Those guys sometimes leave. They sometimes have great careers, and what you cannot do is just abstract. If that team, say the Ravens, for example, if the Ravens win the Super Bowl, that doesn't mean if Roquan was here, the Bears would have won the Super Bowl. I think sometimes you kind of cloud those things like. Therefore, if that player was here, right? No, that has nothing to do with what would happen in the Bears outcome. Because what we did see was, even with TJ having similar tackle stats, he made more impact by forcing fumbles, interceptions. What you did find out was it still wasn't enough because overall the team was not good enough. And at times in the season where the offense was not good enough. They was anemic at times. Right. And I want to say the first 3 or 4 games, the wide receiving core was vilified of not being able to get open. And for whatever reason, I'm not sure why Justin Fields at the beginning of the season, well, I'm going to say this. He said he was overcoached. That's basically what he was saying, I believe, when he said maybe coaching. I don't know, but I think he was being overcoached, so he was kind of overthinking it. Because, that's one of the things I would say, that he was playing like a player that was thinking. And I think after when he got to the rebound of Washington game, it kind of seemed like he started playing a whole lot more freer and just making plays versus thinking about plays. So I thought that was the improvement of Justin Fields. Now, I will say is going through 17 games, and I believe he played 11, I honestly could say I'm still at the same spot I was with him at the end of last year. If they keep him, I'm fine. If they move on, I'm fine. I just didn't see enough to feel committed either way. What you got, Paul?
And I guess my only thing about that, Bernard, is I still say is coaching. Mm-hmm. I cannot evaluate Justin Fields with the coaching staff that he's had in the last 3 years. People can say, well, he's a player, and we know from the player. No, not to me. I have to be able to evaluate him with competent coaching.
You know what? Can I add something to that as well, too? I, as a fan, I probably watch as much, if not most, of anybody else. I've never played one snap in a pro game or anything like that, but I look at some of the inefficiencies that he has, and sometimes it does make me worry. But what also is, I tend to trust the opinion of guys that played against him. And I've heard of, there may be some, but the majority of defensive guys that played, they look at us like we crazy. They like, get rid of him, because the Colts linebackers, they were like, you know what? We love it when he get out the I formation because we know we're going to break him off. He said, I love seeing the Bears, but I hate playing against Justin Fields. And we talk about some guys been in the league, there's some dogs, and I'm looking at that like, okay, well, maybe they're seeing something. Of course, they're seeing something that we don't, but everybody's saying they're coaching. So this is his last contract year. I want to see what he does this year. If he's not like that type of guy that gives us that confidence of saying, okay, I can look up 4 or 5 years from now and he's our quarterback, do your thing. But I'll give him a chance this year.
Okay.
I wanted to real quick. A lot of times the teams are driven by the decisions that are made by the people in power. The general managers, they have an extremely important role.
Yeah.
Philadelphia's general manager did not offer TJ Edwards a contract last year.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yep.
And this year, they ended up doing I think that decision definitely worked against them. I'm gonna take TJ Edwards, and we're gonna go forward with this dude because he's a great player. He's a thumper, and I want him on my team. I also want Justin Fields to be on my team. So I hope that people don't think just because I say something negative about it. That's the truth. That's how I see it.
Right.
But I'm still rooting for him, and I definitely want him on my team. Want him to be a bear down.
Okay.
Well, I was gonna say, real quick, we signed TJ Edwards and we gave him Nicholas Morrow.
I saw Kendall Wilder running around trying to guard people this weekend. What's wrong with that picture?
We already
But
know
you know what? But you know what? You just proved my point.
Yeah.
You just proved my point. It's all about coaching. Because everybody knows a Chicago Bears fan that has saw Kendall Vildor try to guard anybody.
Kendall Toy.
It's a tragedy.
Yep.
When you sticking somebody, you run around like this, like you looking for the sky to fall instead of the man. I mean, that dude. Right now,
hey Jay, I will point out that Fielder gave up a 92-yard touchdown about 2 weeks ago. He gave it up to Dallas Cowboys.
When dude caught the ball, he was shocked. He was caught the ball like, ain't
nobody even around me.
High stepping and everything, man. That was funny.
But I
think the NFC Championship game we got
now in the draft to talk about what's going to happen with Justin Fields. I mean, all of it just be speculation. I know that's going to be are they going to draft for quarterbacks? So I guess in our upcoming shows, we probably do need to talk about if they draft, because if not, we wouldn't have been did our homework at all if we don't even look at those quarterbacks and they mess around the draft and we all way off guard. Right. And we need to talk about, like, if the Bears keep Justin Fields, what do we expect to see in the 2024 season, and what changes do we expect? Because you don't bring an offensive coordinator in, you shouldn't just to keep everything the same, because then if you're gonna keep everything the same, then all you really did say is I just need a play caller, right? I mean, you need more than a play caller. That's why I didn't agree with keeping the scheme and all that, because I thought the scheme was horrible. So sorry, Justin, if you stay, you just got to learn new offense. I mean, there was nothing with Getsy ran that I wanted. Justin,
we don't want none of it. We don't want none of it. Throw it all out. Throw it all out. We don't want none of it.
Yeah.
None of it.
That's like good. That's like go ahead and gut that room out. I mean, sometimes you just got to tear it down to the stubs, right? And just start over.
Yeah. Exactly. You got Serge, the interior decorator, coming in. It's like, okay, we need him to knock all 4 of these walls down, get the little LeMay, get the crown molding going, and I want the Jeep in the corner or whatever, Yeah, you just tear it all down, man.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Anything else y'all have? I know we went a little bit over tonight. Hey, thank everybody who hung in there with us tonight. I know we usually go about an hour.
How many subscribers we got?
Hit the subscribe button on YouTube, y'all.
I think we was up to, let me check.
Let's get us another 30.
So you know what? Not just us, but if all you guys out there listening, do your homework too. Look at some guys, offense, defense.
Right.
We value what we need.
We value y'all opinion. We value y'all opinion.
You know, what do you think we need? Look at some guys. I mean, there are people around here because a lot of people, for its inception, just looking at everything at the top. Look at the middleman. Look at some guys who might be some sleepers that did pretty good. What you think they can bring? What do we need to do? Be it free agents, whatever. Because, like I said, we are.
Yeah, Plank. So we need 31 more subscribers to get to seven. Who's that? Was that?
I'm not touching that.
I'm gonna take a fifth on that one, not the fifth.
Oh man, my God, that's my dog. Crazy. Real dog.
Yeah, good dude.
But
man.
we had 729 subscribers, and so let's shoot for 31 subscribers to get to 750. Yeah, let's get to 750. Subscribe, keep this great programming going.
Absolutely.
Hey, anything else before we close out, guys?
Nope.
Okay. Hey, thank everybody for tuning in to Bears Banter, and we'll try to get back maybe within a week or so with some new material as we talk about the Bears off season. Peace.
And the defensive coordinator